So we're all in quarantine, and this is a great opportunity for some of you to start playing video games. I know a lot of people have started playing video games for the first time, and some of you have picked up video games again for the first time in a very long time. Games are kind of like books. We never say somebody is a reader, but we always say that somebody is a gamer or not. But whether you read or you don't read, it's probably because you haven't read the right books that kind of captured you into reading. You might really enjoy reading if you find the right books that you can pick up and read. And it's the same way with games. There are games out there that will make you really love video games if you found the right ones. So I'm gonna run through a couple of games that might engage you, that might like blow your imagination, that might get you back into gaming, and just really give you this magical opportunity to get into the medium again. I honestly believe that video games are the most exciting creative medium that maybe you haven't tried yet, and now's your opportunity. The first game that I'm going to recommend is a game called That Dragon Cancer. It's this really emotional journey that a couple made whose son unfortunately died of cancer. They made this game to try pull the audience into that experience. Like, what does it feel like to go through that? All the different phases. It's extremely emotional. It's extremely creative in its execution. There's no holds barred. It was like, how do you visually represent what it feels like to have a loss? And to be in a community where people don't understand what you're going through, or where it doesn't feel like anything is changing or being done about your situation, and the loneliness. It's all represented in this game in a way that is completely unique. And it just goes to show what games are capable of doing. I'm gonna include all the links, by the way, to all the games in the description below, so you can download them or you can find them or purchase them. It's a relatively cheap game. It's an independent game, which means it wasn't a huge, big AAA studio that made it, but it will probably get you to look at video games in a way that you probably haven't thought of before. The next game is a AAA title, and if you've got a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 3 actually, in and around the house, this is something that you've got to pick up or borrow from a friend or buy from the PlayStation Store. It's called The Last of Us. It's a game that's set in the apocalypse, no coincidence, but it's this very beautiful experience that it's hard to explain. You play a character called Joel who has to look after a teenage girl called Ellie, and escort her all the way through to the end of the game with a whole bunch of stuff that's happening throughout. I don't want to give too much away, but the world is kind of mostly depopulated. A lot of people have died and succumbed to a fungal virus that's turned a lot of people into zombies. So it's not your traditional zombie thing either. They just kind of look like zombies, but a lot of the horror and the cinematic moments that happen in the story are done in very confined, close spaces where it's you and one zombie, kind of like Jurassic Park, where it's like the velociraptors are in the kitchen and the kids have got to escape the velociraptors. You've got to like sneak around and make sure that these clickers, as they're called, don't hear you because they don't have any eyesight. They just have like hearing. They use like sonar. So if you bump over a bottle, it like will startle the creature, and it's just an incredible experience. The music is really engaging and it will really put you into this world, and it's probably the most, and I know a lot of people might not agree with me here, but one of the most cinematic experiences. It really does feel like you've watched like an epic TV series. The next game is a game called Ori and the Will of the Wisp. It's just come out. It's a platformer, and the reason I'm going to put it on this list is that a lot of people that play games as kids and kind of gave up playing games and want to get back into video games often started on platformers. Platformers are these 2D games like Mario Brothers where you run from the left-hand side of the screen to the right-hand side of the screen. But Ori has got this really unique way of interpreting everything. It's kind of like this big 2D world that you have to explore, but you get abilities as you progress and you go along. You feel like you are growing as you play the game. As Ori gets stronger, you get stronger. And the art style is like, it's just cute, it's mystical, it's something like out of a Studio Ghibli production, like put onto you like in this 2D platformer. It's a series that I highly recommend, so you can go ahead and play the first one, but because the second one's out now, you can download it. If you've got the Xbox Pass, which is a pass that you get on your Xbox, I think it's like 150 Rand a month, you get the game for free. It's kind of like Netflix, but for games, kind of. So it's a nice way to try out a whole bunch of games. There's a huge library of games. If you have an Xbox, and it's available on PC as far as I know as well. I'm busy playing it on Xbox, so you've got to try that out. If you've got somebody else with you that wants to play as well, Don't Starve Together is my next game. It's a top-down survival game. Survival games is a genre of game where you just have to see how long you can survive for by just collecting wood and starting a fire, and you're kind of learning things as you go. So you collect materials, build things like a hut. There's day and night cycles. Creatures come attack your house, but it's more accessible than a lot of survival games out there because it's not first person. You're not looking through the eyes of the person that you are playing. It's literally top down, so you can control your character as you click through, so you can see what's happening. So it becomes more accessible. Also, the art style is just it's really unique. It's a little bit grungy, a lot of faded browns and blacks and just hard sketches. It's just a really creative experience, and if you're into something creative, this might be the game for you and a friend because you play it with other people. It's called Don't Starve Together. A game that's kind of seen a lot of popularity recently because of the TV show on Netflix is The Witcher 3.
You'll play as a witcher, a monster slayer for hire, mutated to have superhuman abilities. People might think you're a freak, but everyone can use the help of a professional.
Blood are glowing. Vampire.
Is it 1358 yet?
No.
Then fuck off.
The Witcher 3, there are a lot of sales for it, available on actually all the platforms, but it's quite complicated to get into. If you are used to playing games and want to get into a game, The Witcher 3 is a phenomenal experience. If you love role-playing games where you get to play a character, you get to play as Geralt, or you just like looking at Geralt, you play that character, you get stronger weapons, you get stronger stats, and you progress through the world and get stronger, which is really cool. So the monsters you fight at the beginning feel extremely overwhelming. Towards the end of the game, they are extremely weak because you have just grown. But be aware, it's an extremely engaging world. Role-playing games like that will get you immersed. If you want to get lost for a couple of days, The Witcher 3 is a great game to get. The next two are kind of old games, but they're not that old. I think they're more about 10 years old, but it's Portal 1 and Portal 2.
These next tests require cooperation. Consequently, they have never been solved by a human. That's where you come in. You don't know pride. You don't know fear. You don't know anything. You'll be perfect.
You can get these also for, I think they're on special for $100 right now on Steam. They are puzzle games where you enter a room and you've got to get from point A to point B in that room by manipulating two portals, an entrance and an exit point, with objects in the world. So it's like a first-person 3D platformer. No, it's a first-person 3D puzzle game that is really, really challenging and really rewards you. When you solve a problem, you feel like a genius at the end of it.
Great work. Because this message is pre-recorded, any observations related to your performance are speculation on our part. Please disregard any undeserved compliments.
And it's something that if you have been putting off or you've seen pictures of it, you might have seen memes of it, there are tons of memes out there. You're probably going to want to use this time to play it. Portal 2 is the sequel to Portal 1. That's why it's got a 2 at the end of it. That's how sequels work. The other reason it's got a 2 is that you can play with 2 players. So if you've got a partner that you want to play with, you can solve puzzles together, and you need to work collaboratively. The script writing as well is just, it's spectacular, it's hilarious.
Well done. Here come the test results. You are a horrible person. That's what it says. A horrible person. We weren't even testing for that.
A lot of different movies and stuff is borrowed from Portal and the way that they wrote the script for the game. So you might recognize a lot of little tidbits out of that.
To help you remain tranquil in the face of almost certain death, smooth jazz will be deployed in 3, 2, 1.
And lastly, I'd be making a massive mistake if I didn't mention a mobile game that I love, and I often talk about this game because I play it all the time. It's called Hearthstone. It's a card game that you get on your phone. It's completely free. It's not pay to win. It's a huge amount of fun. And if you haven't started playing Hearthstone yet, now's actually a really good time to get into it because they've introduced a brand new mode. It's a battle royale type game. It's like auto chess where you and 9 other players or 8 other players kind of battle it out to see who's the player that survives the longest. And it is huge amount of fun. It's easy to learn, so it's really unintimidating. You'll play, as soon as you start the game, you'll play 5 rounds. Those 5 rounds will teach you everything you need to know about the game mechanics. But what Blizzard have done here is they've created a game that's easy to learn, hard to master. So once you understand the barrier to entry, and once you get into the game, you're gonna start seeing things that you never thought possible, different move sets. You're gonna see people doing things in the move sets. You're gonna be like, damn, I need to copy that. It's huge amounts of fun, extremely successful card game that's really good on a mobile device. You can play it on a computer and you can play it on an iPad or a tablet, but I highly recommend playing it on your phone. It's a really great experience to play there. And matches last like 5-10 minutes max against other people. And the Battle Royale mode, it's called Battlegrounds. It's really good. So these are my suggestions for the games that you should be playing now, maybe getting into if you are new to the video game industry. If I've left something out, if you're a gamer that has watched this, or if you've just jumped into something, let me know what you've jumped into. Tell me what you're playing. I really want to know. I really want to find out what you guys are into, and if there's anything that I should have included on this list. I know that there are a ton of games that I should have included here. Then please leave them in the comments. Share them with other people. Share links if you can. I really want to see as many people using this time to get into video games. It is a medium that encompasses every single creative discipline, from illustration to voice acting to directing to sound design. It's just everything all smashed into one. And I honestly believe it's like this magical space. And if you haven't started gaming, now's the perfect time to.